In this lesson, we'll take a look at some of the glands that are important to the male reproductive process. We call them accessory glands. We'll take a look at the seminal gland. Some people call it the seminal vesicle, right? It's the same thing. We'll take a look at the prostate gland. Then we'll take a look at the bulbourethral gland, which you may know as the Cowper's gland. Then we'll take a look at semen, what makes up semen, and then we'll finish up this lesson by taking a look at the anatomy of the penis. So let's start with the seminal glands or the seminal vesicles. Some important things about this: these secrete an alkaline, kind of thicker fluid which contain fructose. Fructose is a natural sugar. It's actually fruit sugar that provides energy for the sperm, right? You're going to remember that the sperm have to swim up through the female reproductive system to make their way all the way up there. They need to have some ATP, some energy. So that's going to be their fuel. The fluid contains prostaglandins. These are local hormones or local chemicals that stimulate smooth muscle contraction in both the male and the female reproductive system, which helps to move sperm also. And then also there's kind of some clotting proteins that causes semen to be kind of clumpy initially. We'll see when we do the female reproductive system that semen is going to be deposited in the posterior fornix of the vaginal canal. And for the first 20 minutes to a half hour, that semen kind of remains in this clumpy state. That keeps it there. Over time, it's going to become more watery, and then it's going to move easily into the opening of the uterus. All right, we'll take a look at that again when we look at the female reproductive system. We can see that the seminal fluid produces most of the semen. It's about 60% of the semen. And like I said, it's slightly alkaline, and that's important because it helps to neutralize acids that are produced in the prostate gland, and the environment of the vaginal canal is also slightly acidic. Sperm don't do well in a acidic environment, so we need to neutralize these acids by having some alkaline chemicals in the seminal fluid. All right, so that's the seminal gland. Let's take a look at it. We looked at this picture once before. This is a picture at the back of the urinary bladder, just to kind of refamiliarize yourself. These are the two ureters. They're bringing urine down from the kidney. Here's your vas deferens or ductus deferens coming from the spermatic cord, and then they end as the ampulla right here, which is the swelling. So this is the seminal gland right here, and we saw in the previous lesson there's a duct coming from the seminal gland where the seminal fluid is going to meet with the semen and forming the ejaculatory duct. And then those two fluids, the sperm and the seminal fluid, are going to go into the prostatic urethra, where it's going to meet in a minute. We'll see the prostate gland. Here's an inside look at the seminal gland, right, or the seminal vesicle. All right, so both of those are the seminal vesicles. The second gland that's important to producing semen is the prostate gland. Now, this is a more milky, slightly acidic fluid that contains citric acid, some proteolytic enzymes. One of the enzymes that you may know, if you've never heard of somebody going for the PSA test, watch this, PSA, right, is the prostate specific antigen. There's pepsinogen, lysozymes, amylase, hyaluronidase. A lot of these proteins are necessary for the breakdown of that clumpiness of semen, like I said, when it's first deposited into the vaginal canal. Some other enzymes, acid phosphatase, and there's even an antibiotic, seminal plasmin. So all of these fluid secretions are part of the prostate gland. But notice the prostate gland is about 25% of the semen. Okay, so seminal fluid is about 60%, and then the prostate gland is about 25%. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, this fluid is injected into the urethra by peristalsis of the prostate wall, right? So the prostate actually kind of contracts, so to speak, and moves the fluid into the urethra. All right, we go back to what you can see here. Here's the male urethra. It's the prostatic urethra, right? And the fluid is ductworks that take it right into here. Okay. The third gland that we're going to talk about, that's an accessory gland, is not involved in making semen. This is actually more involved with preparing the male reproductive system for sexual intercourse. So we'll go through this slide and then I'll show you where it is. These are compound tubular mucus glands. All right, so that's just the anatomy of the gland. Since it's a mucus gland, it's going to produce a thicker secretion. The glands are actually located at the base of the penis. They're kind of in the pelvic floor, and they secrete a thick alkaline mucus. So the deal with this is even a sexual thought, or before a sexual intercourse, the male's bulbourethral glands, or the Cowper's glands, will begin to produce this alkaline mucus. The mucus goes into the urethra and starts to neutralize the acidic environment of the penile or the spongy urethra. Right? If you remember, urine is acidic. It's got a pH of about 6 on average. So sperm would not do well in that environment. So this mucus, or this secretion of the Cowper's glands, helps to neutralize that acid. Then this fluid will come out. Again, this is kind of a thicker fluid. It's clear. Will then go on to the tip of the penis. The tip of the penis is known as the glans penis, and it helps to lubricate the tip of the penis for sexual intercourse. So it has dual function, right? It's neutralizing the urethra. That's important, right? So the sperm will survive in that environment, because the urethra, it would be it would contain urine in it, and it would be acidic. And then when the fluid gets to the tip of the penis, it'll go onto the tip of the penis and it will allow for sexual intercourse. We'll see that females have the same gland, and again, it's kind of involved with before sexual intercourse. It's just the thought of sexual intercourse, or right before sexual intercourse. These glands are very active. Okay, so where are they? Here's again, kind of continuing down. Here's the pelvic floor. This is the membranous urethra right over here. Remember, the urethra part that's in the pelvic floor is the membranous urethra. So here's one gland, that's a Cowper's gland, or bulbourethral. Here's the other one. And notice the ductwork is going to go down into the penile urethra. So again, before actual sexual intercourse, again, just the thought of sexual activity, there doesn't have to even be sexual intercourse. These glands will sometimes work and kind of prepare the urethra and lubricate the penis. I'm going to go back a minute. I want to show you a sagittal view here that we had looked at, just to show you what they look like from this view. So here's the pelvic floor right there. See that muscle? Here's the bulbourethral gland, and then here's the duct. Notice it goes into the spongy or penile urethra. So now the fluid, that thick, clear fluid, is going to go in, neutralize this urethra, spongy urethra, penile urethra. Then the fluid will come out of the opening, right, the urethral opening here, the orifice, and then go on to the tip of the penis, and then allow for as a lubricant for sexual intercourse. Okay, so again, this is a gland that is working before sexual intercourse, right, before, and it's not involved with semen. The semen is made from the seminal gland and the prostate gland. Okay, so let's take a look now, just to kind of put this all together. So we said before that semen, you can also call it the ejaculate, is a mixture of sperm and the seminal fluid. We kind of went over this on the previous slide. Seminal fluid is similar to blood. In addition, though, it has high amounts of fructose for energy. It has the prostaglandins to cause smooth muscle contraction within the male and the female. And then it has a protein called fibrinogen, which causes the clumpiness of the semen. All right, so we kind of did this all already. This is kind of a review. And we had also said this too, the secretions of the seminal glands are slightly alkaline to help neutralize the acidic chemicals of the prostate, and then also the vaginal environment. This is new, the last couple dots there. The typical ejaculate contains about 2.5 to 5 milliliters of semen. Again, that's going to be variable from time to time. And then if you were to look inside that ejaculate, there would be anywhere from 20 to 100 million of sperm or spermatozoa within the ejaculate, right? So that's a lot of them, but we need them to ensure fertilization to ensure, the continuation of our species. Okay, so the last topic of this lesson is going to be the anatomy of the penis. We're going to see that it contains the urethra, and as we've mentioned before, it's shared by two systems. It's a passageway for the semen, and it's also a passageway for the urine, right? So both the reproductive system as well as the urinary system use the penis as a way of getting the materials out. So we're going to divide the penis into three parts: the root, the body, and the glands. The root is the part of the penis that attaches the penis to the abdominal wall. Right, and that root kind of extends into the pelvic cavity. The body or the shaft is the tubular part, right? It's the more movable portion of the penis. We're going to see in a minute if we were to cut into like a cut across the body of the penis, we would see three columns of erectile tissue. I'll talk about those in a moment. And then finally, the glans is the tip of the penis, right? So this is the expanded distal end of the penis. Notice, guys, it's not gland. Gland. It is glands, right? It is there is no D there, so they call that the glans penis. Now, when a baby boy is born, he's born with a covering of skin that we would commonly call, a layman would call the foreskin. We call it the prepuce. This is seen, and again, in a baby boy or a man that is uncircumcised, right? It's nothing more than a fold of skin that surrounds the tip of the penis. On the inside of that skin, there are these preputial glands that produce kind of a waxy material that you may hear the term commonly known as smegma, right? But that's these glands that are naturally producing this wax to cover actually to cover, help protect the penis. So if you look over here, this is a picture of the penis kind of through a frontal section. This would be kind of like the base area. This would be the shaft, and then over here would be the glans penis. If you look just outside the glans, see that line right there, that white line? That is the foreskin or the prepuce, right? You could see it over here. So again, on a male that is circumcised, that would be removed. That would be cut here, and that would be removed, and then over here also. In a male that is uncircumcised, that will stay. Okay, let's take a look now. All right, so we know the regions of the penis. Oh, I just want to show you one other picture actually here. This is where the root would be of the penis. This is the body, right? This would be like the exposed visible part, right, like that. And then the glans is the tip of the penis, just to kind of give you an idea. So let's take a look at the erectile tissue within the male. It turns out there's two types of erectile tissue. The first one is known as the corpora cavernosa. These are two cylindrical masses of erectile tissue, right? Two columns that go through the penis. They're under the anterior surface of a flaccid penis. The two columns are actually separated by a thin septum. Remember, septum means like a wall, and they're enclosed in a dense collagenous sheath. Kind of at their bases, they diverge, forming the crus of the penis. So if you take a look here, this is the top of the penis, what we would call the dorsum. There's a column here in purple. And the column here in purple, right? One on the left, one on the right. If you follow them in then into the kind of the pelvic cavity, they kind of expand out. This would be the crus of the penis. Right, so they go well into the pelvic cavity. I'll go back to that other picture in a minute. So each crus is bound to the ramus of the ischium and the pubic bone by a tough connective tissue ligament, right? So that helps to keep the penis anchored into the pelvis, and they extend all the way up to the neck of the penis. So the neck of the penis is right before the glans, right? So take a look. The corpus cavernosum goes all the way up here from the inside the pelvis, right? There's ligaments holding this onto the ischium and the pubic bone, and then it runs up through the body of the penis, and it stops right here. The neck is right before the gland starts. Okay, so that's how long they are. Um, and then within each column of corpus cavernosa is a central artery. So if we were to cut the penis in half, let's say at the body, this is one corpus cavernosa or corpora cavernosa. Here's the other one, right? Here's the septum, the wall. This is all the erectile tissue that will fill with blood during the erection. And then there's going to be the artery, right? You see here, it's known as the deep artery of the penis. Okay, so that's the corpora cavernosa. Again, before I do the next one, that's what it looks like when if the penis is cut straight through on a cross section. Again, this is how they run through the penis. Right, two big columns. Now, the third one is going to be this one over here. This is going to be called the corpora or the corpus spongiosum. This is a more slender erectile body that actually surrounds the urethra, and that was one of the reasons we could call the urethra the spongy urethra. All right, so it extends to the tip of the penis, and watch this. This actually is what forms the glans penis. If we follow it, here's the spongy urethra around the urethra. But on this picture, I like this. Here's the spongy urethra. You can see it's underneath the two corpus cavernosa, and then this expanded glans penis is all this type of erectile tissue, right? So this is all erectile tissue forming the glans penis. Okay, there's also arteries in here. Sorry, there's some arteries that would be running in here. There's smaller arteries that would be running in here, and they're going to fill this spongy tissue inside here. Right, so the erection we're going to see is caused by the filling of blood in both of these two corpora cavernosa and the corpora spongiosum or the corpus spongiosum. Okay. So let's finish this lesson up by kind of putting that together by taking a look at the erection. We had said that in order for a male to engage in sexual intercourse, the penile needs to be erect, right? Otherwise, intercourse would not be able to take place, and again, we would not thrive as a species. So the erection is actually caused by sexual stimulation. It could be visual, just a thought. It could be imagined. It could be tactile, olfactory, right? The smell of perfume or something like that. Really, there's a lot of different things that can cause the erection. So it turns out that the autonomic nervous system is important here. The erection is actually caused by the parasympathetic nervous system coming from the very tip of the spinal cord, the sacral spinal cord. That's where the nerves come out to go down and cause the erection. The parasympathetic fibers release a neurotransmitter known as nitric oxide. What's important is the nitric oxide causes the smooth muscle in the walls of the arterioles to relax, and now blood starts to accumulate in the erectile tissue. As the blood enters the erectile tissue, it results in the erection. Okay, so we'll talk in the next and final lesson. We'll take a look at male sexual function a little bit, how that's all put together. Okay, so that concludes this lesson. We looked at the accessory glands. Remember, the accessory glands include the seminal gland, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral gland, commonly known as the Cowper's gland. We took a look at the composition of semen, and then we took a look at the anatomy of the penis, including the erectile tissue, which causes the erection.